Ooh, looks like we're live. Gonna wait a second. Okay, maybe like 10, 15 seconds. Depends on how latent this stream is. It's typically around 20 seconds. And we're gonna make that Twitter post. For the after hours stream. And then I put the link to the stream. Bada bum. Bada bum. Q&A. I should probably say what kind of live stream it is. It's a Q&A stream. But, oh, I butchered that. Also say, there we go. Das ist gut. Das ist sehr gut. Okay. So, what's up, peeps? I am here to answer your questions and talk about whatever you want to talk about. We can talk tech, preferably. It's what most of you, I imagine, are here for. And we're ready to start jamming. Pepsi Girl is trying to jump out the window. Hey, what are you doing? Get out of there. Get out of there. Yo, what's up, Colin? I see those super chats. I saw you, man. Second donation. Senpai noticed me. I see you, man. We were talking before the live stream even started. I appreciate it. Pepsi, what are you doing? I feel like I'm not peeking. I'm all right, right? Come here. I think she's stuck. Yeah, get out of there. Now she's going to jump in the box. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. I don't know if you guys can see her. There she is. That's it. Hey, she just went back behind there again. Sometimes she just stares out the window for days, like a depressed cat. But I know she's not depressed. She has a good life here. She really does. Oh, my nose is itchy. Ooh. So, let's see. Scrolling up here. We got a question here. Let's see. Looking for a case to hold two systems, both ATX motherboards. Two systems for two ATX motherboards. I have no idea. I have no idea off the top of my head. Most of them are one ATX and one ITX. Thoughts on the iPhone? I talked about this in the last live stream. I won't go too far into it. I don't have the iPhone 11 or the iPhone 11 Pro or the Pro Max or whatever they call it. It's another iPhone. The camera's supposedly really good, which is great. iOS it's always a polarizing operating system, sure. But I think Apple has its pros and cons like any other company, and I have used exclusively Apple products, I should say, in the past. And I have what I would describe as a love-hate relationship with them. Let's see. I have plenty of Apple videos on the channel if you want to check any of those out. Let's see. Venom says, is 3rd gen Ryzen good against an Intel 9th gen? Yeah, you should watch some review videos because they'll tell you exactly how they stack up against 9th gen Intel. Scrolling up here, let's see. Jaren says, what's up, Greg? I'm saying, what's up, Jaren? Good to see you, man. Would you consider doing cat-themed build with fur and all? Probably not. Wouldn't be good for thermals, I imagine. Ashley's asking if I can make a video showing AMD versus Intel playing at low settings. I think this is a big thing that nobody talks about. Well, it depends on the chips that you're talking about, because if someone buys a 3900X, or let's say a 3800X, that's what I'm rocking in the system here. 3800X versus 9900K is pretty level playing field apart from the frequency differences between the two. It would make no sense to test games in low settings because nobody who buys those chips spends hundreds of dollars on just a CPU, let alone whatever graphics card you pair it with, to play a game in low settings. So yeah, your frame rate's going to go way up, and you might induce an even stronger CPU bottleneck if there was one to begin with, but it's not practical for a majority of people out there interested in these chips. So that's why we don't do that. I'm not sure. I can't speak for other channels, but that's yeah, there's my justification. Let's see here. There was a juicy question I missed. Rashad's asking if I can play Fortnite. Not a chance. What phone do you have? I have the Note 10. If you follow me on Twitter, you guys would know this stuff. Like the stuff that's like kind of small that I don't really do videos on, I usually try to tweet about, and tech is one of those things that I always try to let you guys know. If I make a purchase or whatever, I'll tell you that I have said phone or whatever. Let's see here. General opinions on mid-range GPUs. Marco, watch any of our 5700 XT videos, and I give my opinions on the mid-range cards in pretty much every one of those, where they stand, which cards I would pick, which cards I wouldn't pick. 2070 Super, 2070, 5700 XT, 2060, 2060 Super. Yeah, those videos are out there. I don't want to waste time in the live stream re-explaining those things when you could get a way better explanation in the video. Ursula, I don't know if I said that right. Thoughts on how YouTube is treating its creators? It's okay. I don't think they're treating us bad necessarily. They're certainly taking our feedback. They took our feedback with regard to the verification process, and a lot of channels that were going to be unverified, it's now suddenly been announced that they will be able to retain verification, which is great. We were going to be verified anyway. I don't know why, because there were channels that were 3 times our size with twice as much traffic that were going to be unverified. But for some reason, we passed that mark, so whatever that mark was, we were going to be fine to begin with, which is why I probably didn't post anything and rant about it. But good thing is now any channel that's already been verified, they're going to keep verification. So, and that was based on direct feedback YouTube got from creators. So obviously enough of us spoke up. YouTube's going to listen. They have to. Without creators, they don't exist. So they have to they have to keep their creators happy to an extent. Obviously, they're not going to do everything that all of us like. But I don't think they're doing anything horrible enough to where people are like leaving the platform en masse. Certainly they have competition, but as personally, I haven't, apart from the crappy YouTube Creator Studio beta that they're forcing on us, I don't really have an issue right now with how YouTube is handling things, at least for my channel. Other channels, I'm sure, have their own issues, but that's just coming from my experience. Scott says, congrats on the court win, Greg. I appreciate that. It's just Greg with 1 G, not 2 Gs. My name is Greg, not Greg Guga. I used to make fun of people that had Greg Guga, 2 Gs in there. Well, there's obviously 2 Gs in Greg, but there's 3 Gs in the way you spelled it, and that's not how I spell mine because I'm not weird. No offense. Actually, I guess that was kind of offensive. Future Zamasu, saw your $200 1070 video. Could you please suggest a $150 used GPU? I mean, from $150 to $200, there's not much other than 1070s. Like, if $50 is that tight for you, then I probably would not even spend $150. I'd spend like $100 on an RX 570 or something, or RX 580. You can find those for around $100 on eBay. Let's see, scrolling up. Tech Tuner Life says, "What's up, Greg? Good to see you. Tech Tuner Life, good to see you in here. First time catching a stream. I appreciate that, Jaron. Colin, is it? That's kind of a Colin. Colin Vaughan. I don't know. Oh, I got butchered that. We were talking before the live stream. Says, Greg, would you make a folding at home team? I don't know what that is. Maybe make a folding at home centered rig. I have no idea what folding at home even is. I feel bad for even, like, yeah, I feel bad for not knowing what that is, but I don't know. When it comes to Case fans, Be Quiet or Noctua, that's tough. I think Be Quiet fans look certainly better. Noctua fans have a different tone than Be Quiet fans do. And I've talked about this in a few different videos where we've used or switched fans or compared coolers, for example. So like the Dark Rock Pro 4 versus the NHU12A. Both of those coolers cool about the same, but where you'll start to notice differences is with how the fans perform. So Noctua's fans have deeper, if I recall, it might be the other way around, but one of them has like a deeper tone than the other, even though they're about the same loudness. Like if you wanted a DBA reading, they would come out about the same, but one of them has a different tone. And so it really depends on what you're more perceptive to. Humans tend to hear higher pitched tones easier than lower pitched ones. So I would prefer the lower pitched fan if I was being that picky. And I mean, typically not. I'm perfectly fine with either Noctua or Be Quiet fans. Although I will say, in general, I have used Be Quiet Silent Wings 3 fans more. And I think it's just because of the looks. Because most Noctua fans don't look great. Although the Chromax fans certainly look great. And I talked about those in a recent video about exhaust fans. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll up here. I missed a few comments. I missed quite a number here. Okay. Cody just scored a 1080 Ti for 275 used. All right, Cody. Mind sharing what website you found that from? eBay? Was it a working card? That's a really good deal there. Let's see. He wants to know RTX Gigabyte 2070 or RTX Gigabyte 2070 Gaming OC. Hugh, just got to look at all you have to do is look at the boost frequencies. I'm sure there'll be a difference in boost. I'm not sure if WindForce or Gaming OC is better. I know that they almost look identical too. That's the frustrating part. I would just look at the boost frequencies and just see which one has a higher out-of-box boost frequency. That'll typically be the better binned chip, if you want to call it that. That's just easier to deal with if you're not going to overclock manually. Everett says the Crystal Series 280X RGB white case has only one black fan, not white. Any ideas? Because I really want white fans, but the RG is a really good deal. Excuse me. You want white fans. I mean, you just Google white fans on Amazon. Any of the name brand companies, typically their white fans are going to be okay at least. And you can always turn them down. I recommend at least PWM though, so that you can more finely tune the RPMs. Typically with PWM fans, you'll be able to get them to operate at much lower RPMs than spec. And voltage will usually give you a very small limit by comparison. So you might be able to drop your RPM down to 40% of max with voltage control before the fan just shuts off because it's not getting enough voltage. And then PWM, because of how PWM, it's like you're sending pulses of power, right? So the fan's technically speeding up and then slightly slowing down and then speeding up again. And that's how you get the lower RPM, because you're just sending it in shorter spurts. We have a video talking about how PWM specifically works with the graphs and all that if you want to check it out. But definitely PWM. That'd be my recommendation. But you could just Google white PWM fan, and I'm sure you'll find something somewhere. William Bassley, $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Has anyone told you look like a young Elvis Costello? I don't know who Elvis Costello is. Why do I not know who these people are? I'll Google them. Let's check. Elvis Costello. It's not going to look anything like I'm already calling it. Let's see. No, I don't think so. I think you're just looking at the glasses and potentially the hair. Well, yeah, I can see like the young Elvis Costello for sure. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the old pictures of him, so I was kind of like, what? Kind of. I think it's the glasses. I think that's why you're feeling that way. Let's see. Lauren says, hiya, love your videos, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lauren, for stopping by. Let's see. We have a $1 bill asks, is a 3600X worth the extra money over a, 36 worth the extra money over 3600 non-X after the ABBA BIOS update that supposedly increases the clocks in most of the chips. The increase is going to be very small, and most of the time it's going to be the CPU that limits you, not the motherboard. So I would, I was reading that like it was a chipset difference. Those are CPUs, not chipsets. Oh, it's been a long week. Okay, so it's a good question actually. So assuming you're looking at the same board, then you're going to get a small difference. I don't think that the price difference justifies the small bump in frequency. It'll be occasional boost frequencies that you'll see that are different from the lower model. But yeah, I would say for the extra $30, I mean, you could get yourself a better cooler. Your system will run quieter. For an extra 50 to 100 megahertz in most cases, I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. That's just my take on it. Lick Kitty Split. I don't know what the heck that is. That's a weird name. Which motherboard would you suggest for the 9900K? 9900K would be the one I've been using as of late is the Z390 Designaire. There are plenty of Asus boards I think are really good. I'm using an Asus Z370 board actually right now. The Hero 10. Maximus 10 Hero. That's what it's called. I'm using a Z370 board actually on my 9900K, and it's still rocking. Kill keys. Oh, I don't know what that is. Corsair 220T, a good small case. Yeah, I have a review on the case, so you should probably watch that if you want my full opinion on it. Let's see, Sir Matthews. What would happen if you plugged a PCIe Gen 4 SSD into a Gen 3 motherboard? It would just run at Gen 3 speeds. It would be the same as if you had if you put a Gen 4 drive into a board that supports Gen 4 speeds. So B450 with some BIOS updates, X470, certain X470 boards as well with BIOS updates, and then all X570 boards. If you don't have a Zen 2 chip, then you're not going to get PCIe 4 speed. So let's say you throw a 2700 into an X570 board, and then you put a Gen 4 drive into it, you're going to get Gen 3 speeds. So it's still fine. It's not like it's not going to work, but if you're going to spend the extra money on a Gen 4 drive, you want to spend, you want to be able to reap the benefits of the Gen 4 speeds, and you're only going to do that if you have a board that supports the speeds and a CPU that supports the speeds. You need the CPU as well. Let's see, scrolling down. Someone asked if I think science can explain everything in the universe. I think science is just our best understanding. It's the science. So there are obviously things that we observe in nature that we see as fact. Like we have laws, right? A law means it's going to happen every time. It's repeatable. It's predictable because it is certain. Like physics and nature determines it to be this way, and we can observe the mechanics that affect it, but we can say with certainty that certain things happen, right? So when I think of science as like as how we define it as humans, I mean, if you think about it, let's imagine some alien race and they have their own version of science and they observe the same things we do. We should, in theory, come to the same conclusions based on those observations, right? So science is the assumption that things happen in nature and we try to explain them as best we can. And science, to that degree, changes from time to time because sometimes we observe things and we think, oh, well, because of this, this, and this, it must be this way. This is how it must be. But it's not that way. Maybe it's some totally different explanation, and we just didn't see that particular variable that would have changed the outcome. So science in that degree is best guess. It's based on observations, but I don't think it's going to be able to explain everything. I don't think we could possibly comprehend every mechanical property of the universe. There's just too much out there. But that's why science is so cool, because we'll never know. We'll never know everything, and so it's like a bottomless pit. Like you just keep going deeper and deeper, and there's so many people that have like these super specific concentrations and stuff that just blows my mind. But we'll be able to keep going, and there'll be more discoveries, more variables that we try to configure into these equations that explain the nature that we see. And yeah, it's awesome. It's fun, stuff. Most of it's beyond me, but it's why I'm interested in it. It's why I was always curious. When I was younger, I was curious. I wanted to know how light bulbs worked. I wanted to know how car engines worked. I wanted to know how all these things worked because my assumption was if we could figure it out, it may have taken us several thousand years to get to this point, but if we could figure out these things, and what's to stop us from figuring out something like just that much more insane 100 years from now? So yeah, we'll see. Good question. That's a rabbit hole, but yeah, science. Scrolling back up here. My major in college, so I have 2 degrees. So I have a bachelor's in petroleum engineering, and then I have a master's in business administration. Let's see. Scrolling down here. It's all right. It's all right. I'm trying to find good questions here. Good questions. Okay, Ford is asking, out of curiosity, would you say the PS5 would roughly be around RX 5700 level, given they sell consoles at a loss? I assume is that what you meant? And it's over a year away. I have no idea. I don't speculate much on consoles. I'm not really interested in consoles. I do have I have a PS4 Pro, and I play it every now and then. It's just convenient to have something that just pops up right away, and I can play some video games, controller-based games, mainly like racing games and whatnot. But I don't really dive much into console specs and speculation in particular. It's just not really something that interests me, and probably doesn't interest much of you either. So it's kind of a two-way street there. Okay, scrolling down. Lester says this is getting pretty deep for a Q&A. Traincraft asked if I ever watched Vsauce. Absolutely, of course I do. My first computer was a Core i3. I mean, my first modern computer. I was building computers when I was a lot younger. My dad's an electrical engineer. He'd bring home PCs from the hospital, and I'd take them apart and put them back together. I'm not going to count those. It's going to be a Core i3 4150 GTX 750 Ti, 8 gigs of RAM. That was my first modern system. It was the one that I built to run this channel, actually, in the very beginning. It was all I could afford as a broke college kid. Let's see here. What would you say is trending now on YouTube that's tech related? My videos haven't been doing so well lately. Probably Apple stuff. It's got to be Apple stuff. It's always Apple stuff, right? I mean, the iPhone's trending, I'm sure, and that is taking a lot of that viewership down another rabbit hole. iPhones, man. Those cameras, man. Everyone's going crazy over the iPhone camera. Must be really good. I don't know. We do know the Pixel 4 is coming out soon, and I'm pretty sure we'll be getting a sample from the Pixel team. So that will be interesting, and I'll probably have to buy an iPhone out of pocket to compare it to. So stay tuned for that. Scrolling down. My glasses. What brand are my glasses? They're from iBuyDirect. They are Milo, Milo, M51. Oh, what's the eye distance? But if you go to iBuyDirect.com and you type in Milo, you should find these frames. If you were interested, actually, these frames broke, so it's got like a plastic kind of composite exterior for a frame, and the screw that they used to hold the hinge together, I guess, was chewing through the plastic. So at one point, the whole, I don't know what you would call this part of it. Anyway, this part of the glasses broke off, and you couldn't fix it just with screwing the thing back in because the plastic completely broke off. So I had to super glue it, and now I can't close this arm. So yeah, but it's still a nice set of glasses. Unless you're like looking really close, you can't tell that it's super glued. But I am nearsighted, by the way. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, no problem, Hugh. I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat, man. Are gaming glasses a gimmick? If I understand the marketing strategy behind gaming glasses, it's to get the blue. It's that blue light, right? That dangerous blue light. Filtered out. I don't really care. I mean, my eyes are already garbage enough. Like a little bit of blue light ain't gonna hurt this pair of eyes much more. So I'm kind of in that position where it's already broke. So why try to fix, or why keep it from getting any worse? Because it's already so bad. Like my eyesight is like 2200. It's straight garbage. I have a plaque on the wall and I can't read a single word from here. It's like 3 feet away. So yeah, I've had bad eyes since I was in 3rd grade, and I used to wear contacts a lot, and I just got sick and tired of having to put them in my eyes every day. It's not the most enjoyable part of my day. So I said, screw it, I'll wear glasses. Maybe it'll make me seem a bit smarter and fit the YouTube channel description a bit better. And yeah, every time I take my glasses off now, you guys are like, oh, what is this? Who are you? So I kind of have to keep them on now. I'm too invested, right? Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Scotty Kilmer. Scotty Kilmer is the 1994 Celica, the best car in the history of the world. The Celica. Well, you went with a Toyota, so that's it's a good start. I'd say anything from 90s Toyota would be a pretty reliable pick for sure. It's definitely not the real Scotty Kilmer. It can't be. Let's see here. Oh, I just scrolled through. Whenever I scroll down the chat box, like YouTube decides to skip a ton of stuff. Marco's asking if HDR is worth it. Good question. Which panel would you prefer, IPS or TN? Why? Obviously, IPS is going to give you a better picture. TN's cheaper. You're going to get generally higher refresh rates, less ghosting on a TN panel. We have videos talking about the differences in technologies. I encourage you to watch those videos, Marco, because I'll be able to explain a lot more in those videos than I can in this short little spat on a live stream. I don't want to waste other people's time who've already seen the video. But, if I had to pick, I would prefer IPS. IPS has gotten a lot better with ghosting as of late, although there are some cheaper IPS panels that still don't do as great a job. There's like a piece of Pepsi's fur in my mouth. That was gross. I've used TN, I've used IPS, I've used VA. I haven't used an OLED panel yet, although, I'm pretty sure I have a good idea what OLED panels look like. I've seen OLED TVs, OLED phone screens. I think the biggest concern people have with OLED is the burn and the longevity of an OLED panel versus an IPS or a TN. So I think the best of really every part of the argument, I think, falls back into VA, because VA is pretty cheap, which ticks off the TN box. Color accuracy is not quite as good in most cases as IPS, but it's pretty darn good, and it looks a lot better than TN, so that's a check. And it's not going to be the best for high refresh rate gaming, but it's not the worst either. So I think VN for the price is a really compelling technology, and we've reviewed quite a number of VA panels on the channel, mainly because they're good value. Ian's asking if I heard about UFD Tech. I did. I hopped over to the live stream and tried to support him over there. Let's see, scrolling down. A2pin wants to know, he is currently a 1700X 1080 Ti strictly gaming. Which one should you upgrade and to what? So stick with the 1080 Ti unless you're gaming in 4K 60. 1080 Ti is going to be fine for practically any resolution, any game. The 1700X is what I'd upgrade. If you want to stick within the AMD ecosystem, I would say 3700X, or even if you wanted to go from a 1700X to like a 3600, which you could probably get a pretty close to even trade on, then like if you sold yours for $150 or something like that and then bought a brand new 3600 for $200, you'd probably see a pretty substantial boost in game, just because the 3600 has a just stronger individual cores. So that'd be my bet. Yeah, I'd go with a 3600 or a 3700X if you wanted to pay a bit more and kind of get an apples to apples upgrade. But yeah, let's see. Cyberman wants to know if I believe the iPhone 6s was the last iPhone with any real innovation. I don't really know. I think most iPhones are pretty incremental, to be completely honest with you. I think obviously the original iPhone was innovative for a number of reasons. I think that the iPhone 4 was pretty innovative in the sense that Apple really prioritized pixel density, PPI, and I think kind of forced others to keep up in that respect. I don't know if there were phones that had as good a resolution at the time. I don't recall. I'm not an expert in Apple products, especially historical Apple products. I just know that around that time, I was buying and selling a lot of phones in high school and middle school, and so I was trying out a ton of different things. I had everything from the Infuse 4G to the HTC U10. I don't even remember what it was. I had the HTC One S. I had the HTC One X. I had the Samsung Galaxy S2. I had the original Samsung Galaxy. I had the Samsung Galaxy S3. I had the S4. Didn't have the S5. Didn't have the S6. I had the S7. I had it was called the My Touch. What was it called? It was a T-Mobile phone. It was I don't know if it was Samsung or something. It was something My Touch 4G. I had one of those. I can almost vividly remember where I bought every single one of these phones in my town. It was all local deals, all local Craigslist stuff. But I had dozens and dozens of phones when I was younger, And the iPhone was always one of those phones that was difficult to obtain on a used budget because iPhones held their value a lot better than those other phones did. Mainly because I think of build quality, just name recognition. Apple was, people were fanboying over it back then even. And the screen was really good. The first iPhone 4 screen, I mean, the first Retina screen, quote unquote. But yeah, I don't know if that was like the first time anyone made a 326 PPI whatever phone, but I remember that was a pretty big deal. I don't really think there hasn't really been a huge improvement in anything that I can think of off the top of my head for phones, unless you want to talk about camera upgrades and things like that. But those are still incremental. The iPhone 7 was really cool. I had that one for a long time. Then they started getting really expensive, so that's where I tapped out. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back up here. I missed a few messages and whatnot. Bob Flanders, good to see you, Bob. Good to see you here again. $7.77 super chat. It's a good number. I appreciate that. Hi, Greg. Just got back from London, France, and Italy for 3 weeks. Note, if you're nearsighted, your vision will probably get better in your 50s. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I think someone had told me that, but I hadn't looked up why that was the case. I wonder what the science is behind that. I will be in Germany actually, starting in a few days for the birth of our firstborn, our first son, and hopefully shortly after that, Lisa will have her visa in hand. She'll be able to stay here permanently. But yeah, so I'll be over there for a good while. It kind of sucks. I almost could have seen you if you were in the France area. Lisa lives in southern Germany, so almost on the border. Technically, it is on the border of Switzerland, but I always fly into Zurich, and it's like a 30-minute drive to her place. Okay, scrolling down a bit here. Excuse me. Traincraft. What car do I drive? I drive an Infiniti Q60 Red Sport. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what this is. I haven't eaten in a long time. Maybe that's why I'm doing that. Okay, scrolling down here. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, Canon's rocking a CRT. All right. I dig it. The new LG VAs are nice. That they are. Yeah, I mean, VA is viable. It certainly is. It's not IPS, but it's pretty darn close. People that have IPS panels and swear by IPS will tell you that that's not the case. But I've used many. I've tested many VA and IPS panels, and I can tell you that there's really not much of a difference in most cases. There might be some really good, like super color accurate and bright IPS panels out there. Sure, those are on a different level just because of price, though, and you're paying the extra sum of money for it. But if you're talking apples to apples, $450 or $500 IPS panel versus a $400 or $450 VA panel, it's typically about $100 difference there. Then they're going to look pretty darn close. Let's see. Baby's due in early October, so a couple weeks from now. Hugh Wong, appreciate that. Thank you for that other super chat there. We got Matthew James Media, MSI X570 Pro Carbon, or ASRock Tai Chi. I tend to lean toward the Tai Chi. I'm using the Tai Chi now on my system, and it's a great board. Just make sure to update your BIOS. That's something I'd recommend if you're on Zen 2. You're going to see just stability improvements and boost improvements with time. So that's actually something I need to do now because this was a review sample of Tai Chi, so it definitely needs the upgrade. Let's see here. Yo, what's up, G-Rod? G-Rod says, hello, everyone. Looking good with them 5 stars next to your name, G-Rod. We have here, let's see. Yeah, Leslie. So it's special enrollment period, right? So whenever you have a kid, you can enter into a special enrollment period where you can add your child to your health insurance plan immediately. So don't worry. I have health insurance. I actually have really good health insurance. I pay a lot for it. Not that I'm unhealthy. I haven't even used it once this entire year. So I'm kind of like, why did I pay this much for health? And like, I could have gotten a way cheaper plan and it wouldn't have been any different. But there is still, I mean, there's the unknown, right? You never know. I could get into a car accident tomorrow or fall down the stairs and break my leg, and then I'm going to really wish I had the good insurance. So it's just peace of mind. If I can afford it while I can, I'm going to do it. And for our child especially, plenty of doctor's visits, I imagine. And then with Lisa, when she is given her green card, then she'll be enrolled automatically as well. So we'll be good. But yeah, don't worry. That's all. That's, to me, that's common sense. You gotta have health insurance when you have a child, if possible. My first fun car was an Audi S5. That was the first car I bought for myself out of pocket, and it was a very fun car. It was a big car. It was heavy, but it looked good. It was an eye catcher. It's more of an eye catcher than my Q is, and my Q60 is significantly faster, and in my opinion, looks better. But I think because it was an exotic, it was it was an Audi, it was an S, it was a S line Audi. People just caught their eye more, I guess. Charities. The channel consists of a lot of computer tech stuff. We do a lot of troubleshooting and things of that sort. We do build videos, how-tos, very technically oriented, although we do have, I would say, more than a few just strictly, if you want to call it, science-based videos. We talk about anything from, we have a video about stellar nucleosynthesis, which is, in a nutshell, it's how the sun works, how all stars work, really, nuclear fusion, and the creation of, or the release of energy. And we have videos about geology, we even have videos about sharks and other things too. But they're kind of dropped in here and there because most people subbed for the tech stuff. So I kind of feel obligated to stay strictly on that. For a large majority of the channel because that's what they subbed for, So if I want to keep them happy, I gotta do it. And it's not that I don't like doing it. I really enjoy building PCs. It's a really fun pastime, and used to be just a hobby. Now it's my full-time job. Who would have known? I would not have used either of my degrees out of college. This is really awkward, but really cool at the same time. Let's see, scrolling up here just a little bit. Jaren, you want a CPU for virtualization? Any 8-core rep chip will do. If I wanted to run virtualization, I don't know enough. I haven't created anything like that myself, so I'm probably not the best guy to ask for it. But in general, obviously higher core count chips would be preferable. If you want to run, let's see, you want 2 other VMs, so I assume at least 3 or 4 VMs. I would say safe to keep at least 4 cores per VM, depending on what you're doing with a VM, obviously. But is that Brian? Brian, what? Get out of here, Brian. Nobody invited you in here. And look at that. He thinks he can throw money at me to make me feel better about myself. Oh, he's giving me a compliment. Yeah, I'll take this as a compliment, Brian. This is totally... So Brian from BPS Customs, if you don't know his channel, you're not missing much. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He says, gold chain and tank top looks like me in 1998. What I'm trying to say is I like your style. Man, this is my comfort apartment apparel, okay? You don't even want to know what I'm wearing for pants. I'm just wearing it's just my, if you want to call them sleeping pants. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, these are the pants I sleep in. So perks of working out of the apartment definitely allows me to dress a little more, not conservatively, a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? I can just be a bit more lazy, I guess. Yeah, that's a good word for it. I'm just going to be lazy. And it's kind of hot in here anyway. These PCs pretty much run 24/7. My NAS runs 24/7. When these lights are on, it just boils in here. So wearing a long sleeve shirt is really only required when it's super cold outside and I have a window open and I'm doing some crazy overclocking. That might be the only reason why. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, Brian. Good to see you. We have another super chat here from Matthew James Media. I'd be using a 3900X Power Color or ASRock 5700 XT. I haven't tested the ASRock, so I'm not the person to ask, but the Power Color XT, I'm assuming you're talking about the Red Devil, is a really good card. So definitely a recommended card from our channel. Yeah, I can't speak to the ASRock one, though. I haven't tested it. Someone asked if I wear makeup or it's just me being naturally handsome. I actually got all of my makeup tips from Brian over at BPS Custom. So if you want like the best, the penultimate makeup tutorials, hop on over to BPS Customs, folks. You won't be disappointed. Let's see. Scrolling up here. Scrolling up just a little bit here. Okay, McRae is asking, any mention about a PC which is powering off sometimes without BSOD? Out of ideas. Already changed RAM, PSU, and GPU. It just turns off and don't start again. It's not temp. Probably a short somewhere. That sounds like a short. If something is shorting out, then it will just randomly cut off. You won't get a BSOD. BSOD is going to be something more than likely software related. So if you have either a corrupt overclock or your RAM timings are off, something that you can fix in software, then that's typically when you'll see a BSOD. If you have just like hard crashes and like hard power shutoffs, then it's something hardware related more than likely. And if it's not your power supply, if you're not consuming above your power supply's wattage spec, then it's probably a short somewhere. Maybe it's a bad cable. Check all of your cables. Make sure you don't have a pin poking out or whatever. Definitely something I would check. It'd be really hard to diagnose that without being there. So I will just say it's probably. It sounds like a short. Whenever I've had something short, that's what happens. But let's see here. Captain says, "Live free, man. Live free." That's right. That's my motto. True. Brian says, "True story. He likes blush." Oh man, it's good. It's good. Yeah, Brian. If you please just make one makeup tutorial video, it will go viral. I would almost guarantee it. I'm not going to guarantee because I don't want to get sued again, but I would be willing to almost guarantee that makeup tutorial video would go viral. So, hey, just saying, if it does now, you got to give me some credit because that was totally my idea. Let's see. Tech's asking if I see, he says, 2 cameras behind me. Models, please. The 2 cameras are linked in the video description. All of my tech is linked down there. Actually, I will make one amendment, though. I need to change the tech that I use now. I've switched from an A7S II as my primary to an A6400. And then my secondary is actually my B-roll camera. It's actually the better camera. It's an A7 III. The lenses are 16-35 f4, an NF2 28, and I bought I don't remember what lens it is for the A6400. Yeah, it's a Sony lens, but it's one of their, I think it's an 18-124 or something like that. Which, remember, that's for APCS, right? APCS, ASP. I almost said ASPC. APCS is what I'm pretty sure. Sensor size, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it is, maybe I'm saying that wrong. APS-C. There we go. APCS. I'm an idiot. I can't get my acronyms straight. Anyway, yes, that is the image sensor format. I was trying to think that it's APS-C. Jesus, APS-C lens. So it's good for that lens, although it's an E mount, so you can really use it on you can use it on full frame as well. But you're not going to get the super wide full frame shot that you're probably expecting. So it really depends. Wallop's asking, is it okay to run 2 different memory speed sticks, or is it a bad idea? Like 2 times 8 3000 or 2 times 8 3600? So it's yeah, good question. What will happen? You can't run 2 different speeds on 2 different modules in the same system. What you'll have to do is drop that 3600 megahertz kit, assuming cache latency timings are the same, down to 3000 megahertz. So you'll basically be using your lowest common denominator for all 4 DIMMs, which is fine. You're just not going to get the full benefit of the faster memory unless you just use the faster memory. Because if you try to overclock those slower modules, then you might not get a stable system. You might see those BSODs we were talking about. So my recommendation is stick to the lowest common denominator, and it's pretty much a guaranteed win. Okay, let's see here. Mystical Rush asks if I feel remorse not using my degrees. No, I really don't. So my engineering background is it's more mechanical. It doesn't really have much to do with PCs. It is it's it was a time in my life when I was really grinding because I was building the YouTube channel. In fact, by the middle of my junior year, I had built the channel up to the point where I knew I was going to do it full time, and the the engineering curriculum, I think, more or less just made me think a bit more critically. It made me think more abstract, and it helps. It's something that really helps, I think, in all aspects of life because you're going to think you'll think a bit differently. I mean, engineers think differently than doctors, and doctors think differently than lawyers, and like, it's just the way your brain is wired. Some things are easier to learn, and some things are easier to picture in your head. And mechanical engineering was very easy for me in that sense. I mean, there were certainly difficult topics in the curriculum, but and then for my master's degree, my that was a business administration degree. So that was just how to run a business, finance, accounting, things like that. Just a bit more in depth. Obviously, it's a master's program, and that has helped me to at least a small extent running this business. My concentration with the MBA was finance, so it was more speculative, like betting on or against the market, things like that. There were contract based things that we addressed, and I had this one class where I could have swore it was a real estate class because all we did was look at real estate data 24/7. But we would download these huge spreadsheets, and it was just all real estate data: how many bedrooms, square footage, location, retail, or whatever the asking price is, what it sold for this year, what it sold for this year, what the comps look like. And crap that, like, if I wanted to learn this stuff, I'd be a real estate agent. But we were using that data to do different things in the class, but it was almost forcing us to learn how the real estate market worked because you had to kind of know some things about real estate to be able to answer some of the questions. So we had, kind of, I don't want to call them crazy classes like that, but we learned how in quite a number of classes to categorize data and really like manipulate it to our advantage and to help explain certain things. Like we would be asked certain questions and then we'd just be given a spreadsheet, and it's your job to interpret the data, categorize the data and compile it to give you this outcome. And it's like a very, specific outcome. And then you can say, yeah, based on this, this equation, how I calculated this, I can say this about said question. So anyway, yeah, in a nutshell, that stuff helped me a bit more, I think, with what I do now, but I don't regret getting the degrees because if anything, they're fallback. So if YouTube deletes my channel tomorrow, like I've got 2 healthy degrees, I think I'd be just fine. That's not to say I wouldn't be fine if I didn't have the college degrees, but I look at them more as insurance than anything else. I'd rather be overqualified than underqualified. And I think it's just a bit easier for me to explain going into a job interview for whatever that might happen to be in the future, assuming I have a real job in the future. I say real job in a loose sense. Obviously, this is a job, and I work my butt off to run this company all on my own. But it's fun. It's worth it, I think. When I first graduated, I would have come out in the field making 6 figures easy. And I certainly wasn't making 6 figures when I started YouTube. When I started doing it full time, I should say, when I graduated. So I took a gamble, and it's just, yeah, it's something I enjoy doing. And I think that makes it more worth it than anything. You have to love what you do to be willing to take a pay cut. And that's what YouTube was for me. So, yeah. Let's see. Scrolling up here a little bit. Sorry about that tangent. Shakru Ali, I butchered that first name. Sorry about that. So I'm building a small VR PC to take around to friends' houses. Got a Zotac 1070 Mini for 187. What CPU do you recommend? Yeah, so I get this. I actually have a VR rig in the living room. I don't use it for anything else other than VR, and it also has a 2070 in it, so good choice there. The CPU I have in mind is an 8700. So it's a non-K, but it's still 6 cores, 12 threads. I recommend at least 4 cores multi-threaded. So even if you have to go a few generations back to like Haswell i7, you'll be fine for VR. If you have to, you could go with something like a Ryzen 5 1400, 1500X, even like a 2400G. I mean, I know you're not going to really use the IGP there, but Something like that would also be viable. So I would say at least 4 cores, 8 threads for VR, because some VR games are pretty intensive, and they're not always going to stress your graphics card to the max. Your CPU will matter to an extent as well. The Greg Eggs asking if my kid will be a German citizen. So actually, yeah, he'll be a dual citizen. He will be a U.S. citizen at birth because one of his parents is a U.S. citizen and lives in the States. And then he will also be a German citizen because he will have been born in Germany. So I think it's at a certain point, once you leave the country and don't come back, you forfeit your German citizenship. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but we've gone through all the logistics about getting him citizenship at birth. We have to take a train all the way to Frankfurt a few days after he's born, which I feel terrible for. First of all, I feel terrible for Lisa because I'm not even sure how she's going to be feeling that shortly after, and also the baby having to having to be taught around everywhere with us so that he can get his papers to he'll get a U.S. passport, a temporary U.S. passport, so he'll be able to gain entrance permanently into the States, and then. So he'll actually have a German birth certificate, but he'll be a U.S. citizen, technically, at birth, technically. So, yeah, good question. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Let's see, Charles Van Noland, $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Charles. Greg, congrats on the Oktoberfest, baby. In Deutschland. I appreciate that. Thank you. Question: do you believe we'll achieve creation of artificial minds, brains, consciousness? So I actually have a video talking about this. It's one of the examples I use is using like neurons and comparing those to transistors and talking about how many transistors it would take to mimic a human brain, and how far out we are from that. It is a pretty interesting topic. It's definitely one of those rabbit hole topics, but I would encourage you to watch that video. I'm not sure. I think it's titled something along the lines of like how many transistors until machines become self-aware, Science Studio, and then I'm sure it'll pop up on YouTube. But I think you'll like that video because it almost specifically answers your question and kind of gets your noodle moving a little bit. Not that noodle, the other noodle, your brain noodle. Think with your noodle. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad I clarified that. Let's see. Avocado on PC. You seemed chill with Jace 2 cents on Twitter the other day. Are you guys bros now? No, I think like Jay and I have our differences. We approach certain things differently, and I respect that. I'm not going to hold that against him. If I disagree with something Jay does, I'm gonna let him know. If it's something that I think is a big enough topic, I'll let everyone know. I always get the one video that I made in response to Jay that was public that was about mining graphics cards and how it was sick that people were buying up graphics cards in bulk for mining and how that's not what they were meant to be. Something along the lines of that. Anyway, you can go watch that video if you want. And it was in response to a tweet that Jay sent out. And I had people saying, "Oh, this is typical drama, Greg, whatever." Like, I don't make videos like that very often. I really don't. I mean, the Verge video was one that was a popular one, but for I think a good reason. There was Jay's response video was pretty popular. There were a couple of other, like obviously our Craigslist videos are pretty popular. Our scam videos are popular. But I do those things for different reasons, and I wanted to use my channel, the platform that I have, albeit much smaller than his, just to clarify where I stand on that issue, because it's easy to hate people that buy cards in bulk to do things that the cards were never intended to be used for. But that's just, you can watch the video. It's an explanation. But Jay didn't take kindly to that. I don't think he did, and I didn't really expect him to. Like, I'm not in this to please Jay, but at the same time, I don't want to piss him off to the point where he just completely ignores me. This is a business where I think all of us benefit as tech YouTubers if we're cool with each other. There are some channels that I do not care to talk to at all, really at all. Some channel I just don't like the creators. I don't like how they do things, and sometimes I take it personally. But Jay's not one of those channels. I mean, Jay's never done anything to us that I thought was personally vindictive or whatever. And I hope he has no hard feelings. I like Jay. I think Jay and I have similar interests. We both like cars. We both like tech. He seems like a pretty, I want to say brash guy, but if that's what he is, then so am I. He's very blunt, and so am I. We're both salty. it's just I can relate to a lot of the things he says on Twitter. So if that was what it came across as, then yeah, sure. But I don't know if he would call me. I don't think we're bros, but I respect Jay. I will say that. Let's see. Scrolling up here. McRae says, I'm watching your channel right now from the start, and I'm very curious what you had in mind by starting your channel from the beginning. Yeah, so you will see that it is very different from what you see now. And that's because I never expected this channel, first off, to be anything that I would live off of. But I also never expected it to be tech, like almost exclusively tech. So it definitely took a right turn once the PC videos started doing well. And I said, well, heck, I might as well just see where this goes, see if it becomes popular enough to where I could possibly do it on my own. I knew that people made a living on YouTube, but I didn't think that it was possible for me to be one of those guys. So I just wanted to see how far I could push it, and I enjoyed doing it. At the same time, I enjoy building PCs. I still do. Yeah, it's frustrating every now and then to deal with cameras and stuff. Like I said, I'm a one-man show, so I have to do everything on my own. I have to move the cameras, I have to edit, I have to write scripts. It's all me, so it can be overbearing at times, but I think when it's managed well enough and I manage my time freely enough, then I can pull it off. And I've been doing it since then, so something's working. We're not growing as fast as we were then, but I mean, a lot of channels have really slowed up as of late. So I think it's just because the market's so saturated, and I think it depends on the tech waves too, like how good the tech options are out there when people really have to ask questions like, should I get a 2070 or a 5700 XT? Like, that's a valid question. That's when they would search YouTube for answers. And it's when they would look for personalities like myself, like Kyle, like Jay, Paul, Linus, whoever. That's why we're out there, So, yeah, you're in for a treat while you're looking back as far as the first few videos, because they have nothing to do with PCs. But I do hope you enjoy them. They're very cringy, but hopefully you enjoy them. Hugo asked if I live in the States. Yes, I do. Let's see here. Okay. Sharuk says it's pronounced Sharuk. Sharuk. Ali. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for stopping by in the live stream. I appreciate it. Focus asks if I'm on Twitch. I am not. I don't dual stream to Twitch and YouTube. I feel like that just takes away from the YouTube presence. I do stream on Twitch, but it's only like video games. I'm still in it. I still talk to people on a camera on a small little corner of the screen, but I play games like City Skylines a lot. So if you like games like that or just like chatting on Twitch, then yeah, you can swing by. It's not the one linked in the description. That's my wife's Twitch, and that's because she takes that one a bit more serious than I do, although as of late she hasn't been streaming because she's pregnant. So yeah, anyway. Rebo's asking how the pregnancy is affecting my work. Not really much at all. I know it sounds bad, but I don't live with my wife because she's not a U.S. citizen yet. She's not even a green card holder yet. So I have to fly and see her quite a bit, and it's really expensive. And she's been here. She got a tourist visa, and she was allowed to stay here for 6 months at one point. So she was in a few videos at that time, but she wasn't pregnant then. Well, she was pregnant toward the end of it, but yeah, she's kind of had to do a lot of this on her own, which I feel terrible about. There's just nothing we can do. I mean, unless I dropped everything and just stayed over there with her, I couldn't work over there. I'm not legally supposed to work over there anyway, but I have all of my equipment here, so it's not like I can be away for very long. So I don't know. It's tough. She's given up a lot. She's sacrificed a ton to be with me and to go through all this with me. So hopefully, my hope is that by the end of this year, around Christmas time, we're building a house that'll be finished around November. We'll be moved into that house by then, and we'll all be together. She'll be here, and our baby will be here, and everyone will hopefully be healthy, and we won't have to worry about immigration crap anymore because she'll have her permanent residence green card. So yeah, looking forward to that. I talked about this quite a bit on Floatplane, actually, so if you want some more context, it's over there on Floatplane. But it's one of those topics where it doesn't really have much to do with Science Studio, but if you're wondering, that would be, yeah, that's what's going on. Mystical Rush is 90 Day Fiance, not 90 Day Fiance. No, we I guess we could have been. I mean, we technically we couldn't have been on that show. We really like that show because we can kind of relate to it. But I met her in Taiwan over about 2.5 years ago, and I married her almost 2 years later. Is that right? No. I met her 3 years ago. 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago. And then I asked her to marry me in January. So that was 6 months later. I proposed to her 6 months after meeting her. And I probably only spent a total of 2 months with her because we lived in different countries, like we were flying back and forth to see each other for a week at a time. So, and at that time she was committing to giving up quite a bit to be with me. She gave up 2 of her jobs. She gave up being a pro CS:GO player. She gave up a lot, and then so we were engaged in January of 2018, and then we got married pretty fast. Yeah, we could have been on 90 Day Fiance because we got married in March, which was 2.5 months after we were engaged. And that was done for fear. Like, I knew I was going to marry her, and we were already engaged, and we're just like, screw it, let's get married. Let's start the immigration process. Let's just get it over with, because we knew it was going to take a long time. And the fiance visa was something that, like, it was going to take about the same amount of time, but like I knew I was going to marry her anyway. So I just said, screw it, let's just go get married tomorrow. So we literally eloped, I guess you could say. We were engaged already, but we took care of that very fast, and we didn't have a wedding per se. We had a small ceremony, but my parents weren't there. Her parents weren't there. My grandparents, my grandfather's an ordained minister, so he did the ceremony for us, and we've been married for over about 1.5 years now. So, and then we'll have our first baby next month. So she got pregnant about 1 year after we got married, a little less than 1 year after we got married. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. What called your attention toward Lisa? I don't mean to talk too much about this. This isn't really tech related at all. I met her in Taiwan it was business. She worked for one of the companies that invited us there, and she was supposed to show us around Taiwan and stuff. And I was supposed to be interested in the city and the sights and everything she was showing us, but I was only interested in her. So I very quickly made my move because I knew I wasn't going to get to see her much longer, and I wanted her to know that I really liked her. And then we parted ways in Taiwan, and I told her, I was like, I want to see you again. I want to fly to see you in Germany. And she said, yeah. So I was like, all right. Teggy's asking if Jacob will be the godfather. I'm not sure yet. Might be Jacob or Will, either one. They just got to call dibs. So whichever one calls dibs first, I guess. But anyway, thanks for listening to that little spiel there. Don't mean for that to be too sappy or anything. Let's see here. Andix asking for phone reviews. I've had a few phone reviews on the channel. I have my Note 10. I didn't do a review on it yet, and that's because I don't know. Phone reviews, there's a lot of channels that are like dedicated specifically to phone reviews, and I don't want to act like I'm a part of that group because I'm certainly not. I think I know what I'm talking about, but it's like I don't want to try to push the channel into a new genre that I'm really not prepared to jump into. So if I do a phone review, it's like off the cuff every now and then, like, hey, here's my experience with this phone, I did that with the iPhones. I did that with a few different phones in the past, but I don't want this to be a phone review channel. Like that's not my MO. Not that there's anything against it. It's just not my specialty, But anyway, pineapple on pizza. Oh my god, no, heck no. There's no way. I have never tried it, and I don't want to. You can call me whatever name you want in the book, but I don't think that it's... I don't think that it looks very appealing. It doesn't smell very appealing. I know it's something sweet on something technically a bit salty, but not a chance. No, not for me. All right, you guys. It is, 10 p.m. I appreciate you guys watching, and if you are more interested in these live streams, we have plenty of them archived. If you want to check them out, I just answer questions for an hour straight. And yeah, that's really it. It's just me just reading chat and trying to be as engaging as possible. I apologize if I have not answered your question, but there are so many of you in here, and I appreciate you guys stopping by. Stay tuned for the next one. We'll be in a few weeks. I'm going again to Germany for a few weeks for the birth of my son, so I won't have access to the desktop. I won't have access really to good internet at all while I'm there. But when we're back home, I will be sure to stream again, and I'm sure we'll post some updates about our kid when he's born. So keep us in your thoughts, prayers, whatever, and that will be appreciated. And yeah, stay tuned. Thank you guys for stopping by again. I'll catch you in the next video coming up here Monday afternoon. I should probably close the stream by clicking the stop stream button. There we go. See you guys.